For the past couple months here, I've been getting a lot of signs that I should probably post my testimony, just so might be able to help someone, or if someone's going through the same thing or is going through even similar things in their lives, the testimony can be a very powerful thing. So I just want to get over it real quick because it's something that I've been slacking and I should do, and I honestly feel bad that I haven't done it, but I know God is very forgiving about these kind of things. It's a good day, beautiful day out on a lake, trying to catch some fish. They're all by the shoreline over there, but I want to make sure I get this done, and this is kind of a private, nice spot being on the lake, right? So I'm gonna only stick to key points that lead me to Christ, and I'm not getting into my too much of my past or experiences. I'm just gonna keep it on the key details so that we can just move along. All right, so when I was 4, my dad died from meningitis, and it was one of my very first memories. In fact, when people ask me what's your first memory, my very first memory would be, my dad dying, right? Clearly, I can, even to this day, very vividly remember being top stairs, seeing him fall down the stairs, kind of people being, yelling, oh my gosh, is he okay, what's going on, taking him to the hospital, and then even holding his hand, which was really cold. And he was my best friend, truthfully. He was genuinely my best friend. I had the closest relationship with my dad, and I, as my family told me even later, is that even before my memories were there, me and him were just the best of friends, right? And it just kind of got me off on the wrong foot in life. I ended up being a contemplator about death a lot, and they're all saying, oh, he's in a better place, he's, believers of heaven, so that you say he's in heaven and he's in your heart, you know what I mean? And the whole time I'm just that's got to be a load of nonsense, right? So my mom is single, my family's kind of split apart. My mom is kind of one side of the family, and then my grandparents, the father and mother of my deceased father, are kind of another part of my family. And I got this kind of dual life going on, because before they were about to die, my mom and them were about to kind of go their separate ways. And so I want to spend time with my grandparents because they kind of took on the role of my father. And I also want to spend time with my mother, right? So I kind of did this going back and forth thing of spend time with my grandparents, growing up with them, and spend time with my mother and growing up with her and my brother, who's older than me by about 6 or 7 years. Anyways, continuing all of that, I grew up, was getting kind of depressed, just would really been depressed my whole life. And the irony is, if people knew me kind of through elementary school, middle school, high school, I tried to be funny. I tried to fit in, do my own thing and have fun. But on a deeper level, below the surface, I was always really depressed, and kind of just had some issues with just everything, how it is, and ended up getting into drugs, trying to fill this hole I had inside me. That's the best way to say it, is I had this void and this feelings that I wanted to be better, I wanted to feel better, I wanted to be normal, right? And so trying to be seeking out on this journey to be normal and find out how to fix myself, right? And the whole time I'm just finding more problems with myself and more things I don't like that I need to fix. And it led me to this point where eventually I was I just can't fix it. I just can't do it. And this is around high school, where I found out about some psychedelics and rewiring your brain and everything. So I was you know what, let's give it a shot. Got really into psychedelics too heavily, doing them frequently, very frequent, at the very least once a month. And I'm not gonna say I was the worst, because I know some people that had it worse than me, with needing psychedelics, but I can understand I was microdosing at times every day for weeks. It was not great. And it was all because when I originally started with psychedelics, I started with acid, and again, I've been depressed my whole life, had acid, felt like it rewired my brain, felt like I was no longer depressed. It felt like I wasn't able to experience happiness unless it was like this point, and my depression was obviously like to the bottom, right? And then after I took acid, it was like I unlocked a new level of happiness, right? And then I was able to attain that more. I was like, I don't know how to explain it. So I thought drugs were the answer, and I did that whole microdosing trying to like tune myself into the person I wanted to be. And during those experiences of psychedelics, I had a lot of revelations about the spiritual world. And I'm not saying this is good. I'm not saying you should go do psychedelics. I'm saying that I was using illegal access to get into the spiritual realm. That's how I generally take it. I think shrooms, are a type of kind of forbidden fruit, and they get you to know things and be places that maybe you shouldn't be, that you don't really need to be. And going through that whole experience, I thought I was getting closer to something, but I always felt like it was out of reach. Felt like I needed to do it one more time, or a little bit more, or I need to fix it, or I need to do it every month, or I'm just gonna go back to like this other version of myself to be happy. I get into weed. I liked a lot of alcohol, and I had no rules for myself really. My rules was just like, don't kill yourself, and try to have fun and try to do like the right thing in general, like try not to be a horrible person, right? So really lax easy rules. I'm doing that, and then I have this experience on shrooms where I go kind of full out. I wanted to see the other end of things, and man, I saw some things. I first, I'll just say that I experienced in the first of me like kind of going out, like you get out of your brain, like you literally, how you experience in life. I stopped experiencing life. It was like I was in a dream. It was like I was daydreaming, but like actually there, right? I was this spiritual body, like outside of what looked like the Milky Way, right? And it was swirling, and it was crazy. And I just had this instinctual knowledge. I just had knowledge in this place where I was, where it was like, okay, this is the war that's been going on. And I thought to myself, I was like, oh yeah, that's right, this is still going on. I was like, man, this has been going on literally forever. Like, not like metaphorically forever, literally forever. So I was like, yeah, when is this gonna end? Like, are we ever gonna be able to find peace? And there's just a swirling, right? Which I can only comprehend now as like, that is the spiritual war between angels, God's heavenly forces and the demonic forces. This is like a whole Milky Way of swirling, of war going on forever, since the beginning, right? And I was just like, man, this sucks, right? Like, it sucks, but at the same time, I also was in my spiritual body, so I was feeling great. I felt so authentic. I felt so me. I mean, you can, this is gonna sound crazy, but when you're in your spiritual body, you can like fly, float, whatever, teleport. Like, you think and then you do. Like in here, when you're in your body, you think and then there's the delay and then it happens, right? But when you're in your spiritual body, you think and it's already been done. You know what I mean? Like, if I wanted to be there, I'm already there. There's not even a difference between the thought and the action. And it makes sense because you're being so authentic to yourself that everything that you do is 100% the only thing that you would want to do. There's not like should I do this or should I do this? You just know what you're going to do because that's who you are. So that was kind of how it was. It was cool, but then this is before I knew Jesus really, and I started getting attacked by demonic forces, and I kind of snapped out of it a little bit, and I was and again, I was very consistent with psychedelics, doing them all the time, had deep trips, had astral projection, things like that before it happened to me. Never in my life have I experienced what I experienced that day with demonic forces. I'm telling you, voices like never before. And I had heard voices before. I'd heard the voices, but voices clearer than ever before. And I'm telling you, it was one of the weirdest things is Satan. I believe it was Satan. I'm not sure, but I believe it was Satan. was singing songs to me. He was singing songs to me. And again, I knew nothing about the Bible. I knew nothing about Christ. This dude, Satan, bro, he was singing to me the most vile, disgusting, like, I know how bad demons are just because of that experience. When I had to experience what he was saying to me, I got the full picture of Satan. And the only way I can even explain it to people is it as beautiful and as amazing as Christ is. That is how ugly and corrupt Satan is. He's the complete opposite of Jesus. The complete opposite. Everything that Jesus loves, everything that is godly, Satan is the complete opposite. Complete. And I just spend some time thinking about that. If you ever want to know both of them, you can know both of them by knowing one of them. That is the full truth. So, I had this experience, and then I got on video games to, like, escape this experience, right? Because that's kind of the thing I've done in my life, is, like, kind of use video games as an escape. I'm sure a lot of people will understand. And I hopped on, and I felt this presence behind me, just laughing at me. Very subtle, like, not, like, before it was in my ear, like I was being tormented. It was like I got on the games, and that's what it wanted. Like, it laughed. It was satisfied with that. And I was on the games. I was low-key having fun, trying to just ignore what was going on. And then I started getting this pain in my stomach that was literally it might be some of the worst pain I've ever experienced in my entire life. Get this, some of the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life. I've broken my bones. I've broken my sternum. I've gotten burns, cuts, scars. I did fighting. You know, I've done a lot of fighting, been punched plenty of times. Like, this was the worst pain I think I ever felt in my entire life. And it would not go away. I immediately, like, it felt like someone, you know, my brother was there, right? This is how bad it was. My brother was there, and I told him, you need to cut open my stomach and get this thing out of me. I swear to you, I said that. Because it felt like there was, and I was still tripping, right? So I had this visualization of what was happening inside of me. It felt like this gigantic black leech was going through my body, like in kind of my abdomen area, and just like eating me from the inside. It was the worst ever. I'm screaming, crying. It's the worst pain. I'm like grabbing it. I can feel it moving. It's not like a sharp pain. Like, I feel it trying to, like, go through. I don't know what to say, bro. I don't know what to say. It was so bad. I ended up literally calling out for Jesus' help. I said something along the lines of, Jesus, help me, please, out of my heart. And I tell you, I didn't know nothing about Jesus. I didn't know nothing about Jesus. I didn't, you know, I was in the deepest pit of my sin, and I called out to Jesus. And when I tell you the pain gone, I was my tripping, it was like gone. I would say the only thing that changed is that my room was like dark. I didn't even notice, but my room was like dark, like it had this gray dark shadow over it. And when I called out Jesus, it was like a golden light like came into the room. And I doubt anyone, I mean, it must have been something spiritual, because it was just in my sight, I believe, but it was like, boom, golden light dropped and filled the room. And I'm not talking extreme light. I'm just like, imagine something like you brought in a golden light bulb and you just set it into a dark room. The room is just going to go, whoosh, right? Fill up with light, because that's what it does. And that's what happened when I called Jesus. The pain was gone. I sobered up. I started feeling euphoric. And I immediately just started crying. I started singing, like, to Jesus. I was like, just singing. I was like, Jesus, where have I been? And I'm not going to sing it because I don't even really remember. It was so from the heart that I literally don't quite even remember what I was saying, but it was like my heart was speaking for me. Like, I was literally just praising Jesus from my heart. And I've never met this guy before. Never had a really true relationship with him. But in this moment, he literally saved me from so much stuff, and my heart just realized, and I just was like singing praises to him. And I was hoping, I was praying for myself, for my family. I was apologizing, right? And man, man, it was crazy. I realized that Jesus was it, but even then, I still went back to doing a lot of my old ways. A lot of them. I went into dark practices, because I found out the spiritual world was so real, realer than I thought. And I went into dark practices that shouldn't be done, talking to spirits, communing with spirits, and trying to just be prideful and do all sorts of things. Kind of this self-ascension journey, right? And then I had to find Jesus again because, truthfully, I just came to the facts. I was like, I need to find the truth. I know there's the devil, right? And I called to Jesus, and that happened. I know I was so stupid that I even had to go through this, but I had to find out the truth after that, because I was like, I was tripping. There's no way, Go in, research it, find out that Jesus is the most, out of all the historical figures, Jesus is the most backed. It is a fact that dude was on earth. Then you look at the Bible, then you look at prophecy, then you just literally look at the acts and the miracles that have happened from God's will, and there's not a single question in my mind, because the miracles that God did are unlike any other miracles that were ever done. And the things that Jesus did and the life that he lived is unlike any life that's ever been done, or anything that any human has ever done, right? And then when you get into the Bible and the historical texts, there's not a single religion that is backed or is bona fide as the Bible, and it is truly a miracle. You look at the synchronicities, you look at the historical and archaeological evidence, you can literally, I guarantee you go to ChatGPT, and not that ChatGPT is the best, but I've seen this happening, unless they changed it or something, because then you know how this world works. They guarantee you that if you looked up what is the most archaeologically backed religion, Christianity, what is the probability of Jesus fulfilling the prophecies that he fulfilled? It's impossible. It's impossible. What is the possibility that the Bible can be so synchronized when it is written by so many different authors in so many different times? It is impossible. It is literally divinely inspired. There's not a single way other than that, okay? So my testimony is basically this: don't waste your time dancing with the devil, because he might, if you're really unlucky, he might actually fool you. And if you think that this world is some kind of maybe this or maybe that, no, that's not it. My experience with the devil and with God is that you need to take this life seriously. There's a war going on in the spiritual realm. And you don't, study, look for the truth, seek the truth, and find the winning side. Because this whole body, this is so temporal. This is going to pass away. But the spirit that is inside you, the spirit that dwells inside of you, that is going to a eternal spot, or it is going to be destroyed. So everything that you are, you probably look in the mirror and you care about yourself at some point. If you care, that thing that you actually care about, it's not this flesh. It shouldn't be this flesh. It's the spirit that is inside you. That is your personality. That is your soul. That is everything that you are. And I'm telling you that this flesh is not the truth of you. This is the temporary of you. The truth of you is that you were made in the image of God. Every single one of us, made in the image of God. And that means that when you die and get judged, if you go to the right place, right, you will be almost literally like same level of power and freedom and access, that you could compare it to even greater than an angel. You could compare it to greater than an angel. I'm talking complete being. It'll literally be like you're a mini God. Like, God will obviously be above you, because that's your, even no matter what you are, no matter where you're at, God is still your Father, right? But you will be at that God-like level, creating things, living in mansions, being able to just, out of thin air, right? You could make If you wanted to, I guarantee you, I honestly believe this. If you wanted to, you could make your own earth. Genuinely. Like, there's going to be an entire eternity where us, people who all have these godlike spirits, who do the right thing and choose the right path and don't let the devil stop you from obtaining what you deserve, you belong not here, but in the next. This is the trial zone, so that the people who become into that next kingdom aren't another Satan. Anyone who's going to be another Satan, anyone who's going to be another devil, God's done with that. Satan is going to take all the trash, all the people that would have become rebellious like him, into the eternal fire, and the people will literally be destroyed, because you aren't going to be responsible enough to handle the abilities and the powers of the truth that you are. You have an amazing gift waiting for you, and Jesus is giving